Good morning, everyone. So it's day 157 of the GGR, and it's the 8th of February 2023, and plenty happening. We'll talk about Kirsten and Ablish over here. This is the big system that's going through. Simon's just about there. Goog just missed out on the storm. Jeremy's heading north. A little system there with not much wind, and Ian's on the corner. And right over here we have Guy ready to go. So generally, I'll just get into the. You've probably seen the post about Ablish. He went through another pretty serious, or like I'd call it a heavy knockdown. He rang us a few hours ago to explain all was okay. The rig was still in touch in one piece, and he said a quick check. It looks okay. He was down below at the time, going in pretty heavy weather, gusting 50, 60, constant sort of high 30s, nearly to 40, seas sort of 7 to 8 metres, and there was a consistent westerly swell, but then every now and then you get a northerly something coming out of the north, and he distinctly identified it as a much bigger wave crossing over the existing groundswell from the west together, and he got whacked by that northerly swell and knocked down pretty hard. He actually ripped his storm staysail. He's got other options there, and the rest of the boat's okay. He didn't get injured, but he was happy to tell us the experience. He's looking forward to the wind dropping, which I'll explain in a minute at the end of this when we get to talk about their weather. So that's okay. No news from Kirsten. No news means good news. She's making progress, so we're not, touch wood. So far, so good. And that's really about the only updates. So we'll go straight to Guy and talk about what he's up to. It was quite interesting to see his approach. Surprised a few people, me included. But he's in touch with Hobart now, and just to give you, we haven't seen any tweets. We know everything's fine, everything's on board, but he certainly, come on, he certainly had an interesting way of coming into Hobart, and I think it was a case of here's Hobart over here. He approached really wide. He was looking pretty good, going straight to Hobart, and he veered off down this way. And all I can think of it was that maybe he hadn't had a sight for a while, and so he was actually making his landfall. And he may, he's ended up over here until he sees the coast when the sun comes up. He may have thought he was coming in over here, which is about 15 miles, 20 miles difference. So he's made his landfall, made his positioning here. Then the wind turned against him, so it's very light, travelling coming in, and that's the situation right now. He's got a very light southeasterly, which is sort of on the nose. So his current speed, he's picked up to 4 knots, but he's been doing sort of 1.5, 2 knots for quite some time. So he's still got a fair distance to go. If we peg the distance now and then we look at the weather, we can come up with a rough idea. So there's 56 miles or 55 miles, say. And then the rest of it up here into Hobart, generally it's about another 40. So you've got nearly 100 miles to go. So it's going to be very late tomorrow, or maybe even into Friday, depending on his actual plans, whether he uses his motor and things like that. So the weather he's got now coming through here, if we just keep pushing it through a bit, you'll see the internet's a bit slow here, but look at it. It's not running over. This is a worry. Here we go. Yep, it's there. So that's going to pick up a little bit, and this is that's actually too far. Crikey, forget about that. I pushed it too far, so we come back to the 9th. This is 24 hours out, so the next 24 hours still really light. Okay, so this is this time tomorrow, and not much wind there, so you're going to be drifting around for a while. So I think tomorrow night he's probably going to be over here somewhere, and that will mean coming in sometime on Friday. But let's have a look what goes on here. A little bit further in, once again, there's not much wind there. Now, he will have all the charts of Hobart, motoring options. He should have more than enough fuel because he took it on Cape Town. He could actually come through and motor up behind Bruny Island here. It's perfectly flat, blah blah blah. Or he could turn his motor on any time and just motor around. It's only 100 miles. It's sort of 20 hours motoring or something. or whatever, and he's got more than enough fuel for that, I would imagine. But anyway, let's see what pans out. He's getting good weather forecasting here. There's VHF coverage on the coast, so he knows what's going on, and he'll make his decisions, and we'll see him soon. So that's all good for Guy. Okay, shrink it back this way a bit. Oh, my mouse is a little bit sticky as well. And come over here to Ian. He's in a bit of a hole there at the moment. His current speed is 2.4 knots, and he's managed about 106 nautical miles in the last 24 hours, so not too bad. We were predicting this yesterday, so if we sneak this forward a little bit till tomorrow, he's got a bit of a mixed bag. He's not going to make a big distance in the next 24 hours, but it's still okay, and this breeze is coming up behind him. So that's, by then the second day, he's going to get a kick along. So we'll go across to the 10th. So this is 2 days from now, a little bit more than 2 days. Oh, still a hole. Okay. That one disappeared pretty quick. You'll probably get about 12 hours of shift, and then there's the more. So he's got a couple of days of slow going. That's pretty obvious. So, but anyway, no storms. Jeremy's kind of interesting here at the moment. He's sort of heading north, but he's obviously had this what do we got? It's actually a low pressure system. He's got the centre of the low right next to him, so he hasn't had a lot of breeze there, and he knows the zones behind him. He's doing 4.4 knots, did 82 nautical miles in the day, but it's he's been affected by this. And let's have a look at what happens here with this one. I'll just toggle that forward, hopefully. If we're going, yeah, we got a problem with the internet's a bit slow. So anyway, it's going to come over him. It's not going to push him off the planet. I think he's just got a bit of frustration there with some very light winds, because that centre's going to move a little bit across on top of him. So it's not updating very well. This is a problem. I hope you're actually receiving this. Yeah, it just did a big jump there. So anyway, so he's got a flow coming through here, so he'll start sailing again. So just to catch up on the perspective, that's the 8th. That's later tonight. Okay, so that's pretty quick. And then he's going, so he'll get on the move again now, but it does start to go light again tomorrow, but at least it's in the right direction. Those bigger winds that were pushing him here, not helping him at all, but there it goes. That's by midnight tomorrow. There's not much wind, so Jeremy's going to make slow progress there. That's we'll go through to the 10th. See how we go here. A bit of breeze coming from the south, so a mixed bag. That's the easiest way to explain it. Nothing dramatic happening, but maybe some frustrations to help sort him out and make him realise that it's a sailboat. That's about all I can say. Okay, so Mr. Goog, very lucky guy. You probably saw the lead in an approach to this, where everything was in front of him, and as he's been going forward, he's probably sitting in 30, gusting 35 or something with all of this, or 25 to 30, gusting up to 35. All good stuff, but the heavy bits just staying just in front of him, and he's sailing in the stuff behind. So quite happy to be making those sort of miles that relatively easy. 5.9 knots, 134 nautical miles in the day, and no stress. So that's pretty good for him. We'll just kick it forward a few bits and pieces. Still got good sailing. He'll come off the edge of that with this one, and the big blow that Kirsten and Abelish have got is just clearing the way. So not a lot we can say about good, other than keep going. So this is the big blow. You can see the winds died off. We'll just quick mention for Simon. Winds died right off. He's able to use his motor. It's a relatively calm weather approach. He's got a plan now. In fact, Lutz will update today with a written post. But the last bit I saw there, the plan was that there is a local guy, friendly local guy. I forget his name. Friend of Seb's actually. Who has got a rib, and they're going to meet up with Claire with the parts, and they're actually going to drive the rib by car right out to the entrance headland sort of thing, and he will come in, and they've got charts for him and an iPad and so on to give him the charts to go down the river. Then they're going to go out, give him that, and then Simon will still go down the river into Port-au-Mont, which is about 60 miles. The tide looks as if by the timing he's got, it might be okay. He could get in pretty quick. And then when he's down there, he'll deal with all the agencies, customs, quarantine, and so on, clear in, and then spend the time to get the boat right. They'll do the jobs, and then he'll come back out again. So So that's the plan, to meet him at the entrance and give him a few bits to help him down the channel. He'll still do that solo, of course, and once you get in, you're able to get physical support, and that's where they're able to give it to him. So he's still meeting the requirements of Chichester class, and he'll get out of there as quick as he can. But I think it's going to take a couple of days. You can assume once he gets in the gap here, it's going to be a full day of mucking around to get him down. 60 miles at 5 knots, it's 12 hours just there, and he wants to do it daylight. It's long days because it's still pretty far south. Then a couple of days, just clearing in, it takes half a day, and then a couple of days of work out again. It could take him 3 days or so before he's back out on the road. So watch this space. Okay. So then coming back to Kirsten and Abelish, I'll just drop it down a little bit more here, and then we'll go over to Windy in a minute. But you can see, generally speaking, the game plan worked pretty well. This is real time now, and the model's reasonably good. Kirsten's hiding here in the same colour. The colour of her boat is the same thing. So they've been riding the top edge of this system. Abelish has had the raw deal. He's got forecasting and winds much stronger than Kirsten, but Kirsten's still got solid stuff. The interesting thing is you can see the tactics straight away. Kirsten's been doing 2.5, 3 knots. She's now doing 3.8 knots, did 98 mile day. Kirsten, I'm pretty sure, we'll find out later on, but during the bigger parts, she was geared up for it, and I think that's what she's probably doing. She's probably running under warps and chains to slow the boat down, whereas Abelish has been really sort of the keeping with boat speed, manoeuvrability. He's still doing 6.2 knots, and that's pretty much where he's been sitting through the whole storm, and keeping the manoeuvrability and not worrying about drows. He may be still towing something behind. I haven't asked him that, but anyway, all things pretty comfortable. But he has experienced 2 heavy knockdowns. So and you can see it looks as if on here it looks as if it's not a lot happening. He's sort of out of it, but that's not the case. It's blowing quite hard, and it'll take a little bit longer. So now I'll go over to Windy. This is actually set up with this flag here is set up with Abelish's current position. Okay, so I'm just going to pick that up one more notch. Kirsten's sort of over here. She's got a lot less than Abelish. So this is the wind strength, 34 knots. So it's blowing around about 34. Wind gusts still. Oh, come on. Yeah, the internet's a bit slow. Wind gusts are still up around 50. Come on. Yeah, jeepers. Don't you love it? I can't. I don't want to boot it over, otherwise we'll. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're on gust now. Okay, so gusts are at 50 knots, so you can see it's still very solid. And if we go for waves, see how quick this turns over. Come on, we want waves now. Sorry about this. We want waves. Okay, so there it is there. 8.3 metres. Now that's solid. Remembering that these are forecasts. So Abelish, I asked him on the phone when he rang. We had a good chat. He was happy to talk, and he was thinking it was about 7.5 metres. He thought the forecast we gave him was spot on. It's been doing exactly what they said, and that's why he was looking forward to it dropping back to about 35 knots in quite some hours. But by the forecasting here, it's probably about 5 hours away, and then he will, will notice a marked drop in the wind, but the sea state is going to stay pretty much the same all the way. If I start knocking this forward, hopefully the internet will keep up. No, it's not. Okay, but generally speaking, what's happening is the sea will remain. So even though the wind starts to drop down to 30 knots and even 28 knots, there you go. This is now 1800 Zulu. It's quite a bit longer, another 5-6 hours. Even if I go to 2200 Zulu, you'll see the wind, the sea state will stay about the same. And that's sort of common with these big systems as well. So he's going to have a big sea still running. The wind will start to die off. That can create its own little challenges in itself, but certainly he'll be happy to see less wind anyway. So, it's not quite catching up. It's all a bit slow. I'll go back to wind and see if we can catch this. Nope. That's a bugger. Anyway, it's all you can see the forecasting that was put on the post on the back there. It's just not working fast enough now. Ha, bugger. Okay. So anyway, yeah, it is absolutely dropping, and I'll toggle this one through, and you can see the movement, which hopefully this is a not going to take a lot. So each one's an hour. Come on, there's 2 hours. You can see it's very quickly moving southeast, so it's dropping down, which gets them into the lesser winds very quickly. So they're just about through the worst of it, but we know from windy, the windy forecasting is a little bit better than this model. So it's not going to drop quite as quick as it's showing here. So they've got a little bit longer to go, but they both handled it pretty well, touch wood, and very soon they'll start making a course change towards Cape Horn. I've had a look at the long range situation all the way through till about the 17th, and there's no other intense system like this coming through. There's a few fronts coming through, but they're all pretty straightforward. So they may get lucky and get quite a long way down the bottom before anything else, or before anything else comes up. Touch wood. So all is good. Anyway, that's about it for now. And just a warning: tomorrow we're going to be maybe an hour or so late on the tracker, maybe even 2 hours late on the tracker. Got a few things happening here, so won't be at 9 o'clock in Europe. It'll be more like about 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So be ready for that. And then we'll that's